We are interrupting your regular scheduled viewing for this cyber parody broadcast.
Patch your machines.
Except for when you can't, but do make sure that legacy equipment is upgraded.
Apart from the ones that can't be, or are out of support.
But patch your machines no matter what.
Use a long password, but do remember it doesn't matter how long it is.
As long as it's complex, but not too complex or you won't remember it. So use a passphrase, but not a common one or one that's been in a breach anywhere ever.
Have multiple passphrases, but not too many because you won't remember them. So use a password manager, except for those sites that don't support them. So in that case, use a simple password.
But don't use a simple password because then it'll be hacked. So use a different complicated password for each account, which means you won't remember them. So use a password manager. But then the password manager might be hacked. So some people think you shouldn't use a password manager ever. And of course, you can't use a password manager on those sites that don't support them.
So turn on 2FA, except for those sites that don't have 2FA. They'll probably won't support password managers either, so don't use those sites. Well, unless you have to, or want to. In which case, turn on 2FA, but maybe not 2FA, which is not completely secure, so you should use MFA.
But be careful using MFA because it means using a token or using your device, and what happens if you lose those? You should obviously just use 2FA, except for stuff that's really important, then use MFA, and of course in those places where you can't use 2FA.
Look for the little green padlock. This padlock tells you that the site is secure, but remember, secure doesn't mean safe. It just means that if a criminal is running the site, you can be assured that only the criminal running the site can see your traffic, not other criminals.
Never join Wi-Fi unless your computer doesn't have a cable, then join Wi-Fi, but don't join bad Wi-Fi, only good Wi-Fi. You won't be able to tell which is which, but that's fine. Just avoid the bad Wi-Fi.
If you connect to Wi-Fi, which you shouldn't, apart from when you should, use a VPN. But make sure there's a good VPN, not a bad one. Make sure you stick to these rules to be securely connected.
Absolutely do not click links unless you need to click links, but be sure you understand the complex and impossible to see Unicode style attacks. Whatever you do, never download anything ever except for those things you need to download like patches or password managers and VPNs. Just don't download the bad stuff.
Apart from the stuff, of course, you need to download for like work, or the stuff you want to download like for fun. But other than the stuff you need to download or want to download, don't download anything. Especially don't download anything malicious.
Easy, right? Just remember, cyber hands,
cyber face,
cyberspace. Seriously, there is no such thing as 100% security. Perfection is the enemy of good, but there are lots of things you can do to have better security.
Do use a password manager or write your passwords down and keep them somewhere safe. This will help you use more complicated passwords.
Do use two-factor authentication so you're not just relying on passwords.
Do avoid clicking links and downloading attachments in unexpected emails and messages. Instead, check with the supposed sender to make sure it's legitimate.
Do keep your devices updated. This way, bugs that criminals could exploit get fixed as soon as possible.
Don't give out your personal or financial data if you receive a call, message, email, or a knock at the door that you're not expecting.